Hi guys, how's it going? Jamie Hinks here, back on the Jamie Hinks Fantasy Football Network. It's midweek again, loads more Champions League on this week, and then of course Premier League at the weekend as well. So first up, what I'm going to do is go through my Premier League lineup from the weekend, which actually did really well this week, got well over 100 points, so absolutely ecstatic with that. So let's get straight into that. So 125 points is the best total I've had in quite a few weeks actually now. I've had a few hits and misses the last few weeks, but this week did absolutely brilliantly. So Fernando Llorente was in there, of course, who you know from the video before. 28.5 points, 2 goals. Just shows the importance of taking advantage of those matchups. Burnley've been awful away from home all season. If you'd looked at that, you'd have thought, well, Swansea been quite good actually under Paul Clement. Bit tight in the end, but if you're just going for the players that are scoring goals, you got Llorente there, 28.5 points. Andre Gray was a great pick in that game. I mean, I wouldn't have taken him personally because I just didn't think that Burnley were going to do anything in that game. But he actually got 2 goals in the end and was owned by well under 5% of players. So he'd have been absolutely excellent. But the other one I took from that game, of course, was Gylfi Sigurdsson, who got almost the same. He got 25.25 points, but he actually only got 1 assist there. So you can just see how good his performances are. He gets points for crosses, shots, tackles, you name it, he's getting points for it basically. And I think getting Sigurdsson in your team every week is an excellent way to go in EPL contests. Elsewhere, Andros Townsend, my boy, really surprised me. Didn't expect him to score a goal. Thought he'd get quite a few points, but 25.25, absolutely chuffed to bits with that, as I was with the win. Didn't expect that at all. That was a lovely thing to watch on a Saturday afternoon. Great performance from Palace. West Brom only had 1 shot in the end. And yeah, just great all-round performance. I'm starting to believe that we can actually stay up now. So the other players in my team, Gabbiadini, 15.5, pretty good, not absolutely amazing considering he was well over 8,000. Vardy got me 13 points. I think that was work. That was I think he almost hit value there because he was only like 5,000. So I mean, get him in and you're happy. The ones who didn't do well for me, Cedric, really disappointing. Only got about 5 points. Wes Morgan. Didn't expect much from him. It was a bit of a gamble putting him in there, a gamble that didn't pay off this time around. Only got 3 points. And Kasper Schmeichel, 9 points. Not bad. Quite a lot of the players at the top end of the contests had him as well. There wasn't a lot of clean sheets around. Not many people picked Wayne Hennessy. Sorry, Lee Grant was the one that a lot of people had. But yeah, Grant or Hennessy, if you didn't have either of those two, Schmeichel was one of the next best ones in there. And I was happy with that overall. So I thought I'd have a quick look at the games themselves before actually going into my lineup for the Champions League this midweek. And I think the name of the game this week is to go for those teams that are down very heavily from the first leg. So that's Arsenal and that's Barcelona. The thing with Arsenal usually do very well when they're not under this pressure. There is kind of murmurings that Sanchez is maybe unhappy and unsettled, but even so, like, he's likely to play here. He was on the bench on Saturday evening against Liverpool, came on, got an assist. I think he'd be okay to pick for this. I mean, I found it very hard to create a good lineup from this slate because it seems to be very top heavy and not a lot of the bottom end that I'd take. But Arsenal players are one place that you could go to get a little bit of value. Maybe Walcott. I think maybe even Nacho Monreal and Kieran Gibbs, just because Philip Lahm isn't going to be playing in this game, of course, because he's suspended. Might give you a little bit of... I mean, Kimmich is an excellent fullback as well, but not as good as Lahm. So I mean, that might be a little way to get in. Maybe even Iwobi. I don't want to taint these guys too much because they might do nothing now. But yeah, I think those guys. Also, Barcelona, absolutely imperious at home of late. I mean, Messi's been on absolute fire since that PSG game. I think it's 6 goals, 4 assists in 4 games, or 6 goals, 3 assists in 4 games, or something ludicrous like that. But I'd be gunning for Messi, even though he's over 11,000. I'd still be going for him just because he's guaranteeing you points pretty much every week. It's worth looking at Cavani in that game, but I don't love PSG 4-0 up away from home. I mean, they can lose 3-0 and still go through. So that tells you all you need to know. Maybe they'll get a goal on the counter, but I can't really see them getting a huge amount apart from that. The interesting game to look at, I think, is Dortmund versus Benfica, because that one's going to be tight, but you've got Dortmund, who are, I think, still the top scoring side in the whole competition this season. And you've got to look at that and think Ousmane Dembele, Aubameyang has got 4 goals in his last 2 games. These 2 guys, I think, are going to score a lot of points this week. As you'll see later on, I've taken one of them. But yeah, those 2, I can't really see Benfica doing a huge amount away at Dortmund. But I've been wrong before, so it's definitely something to look at. Especially in knockout football, it's really hard to tell what's going to happen. And the one game I think to steer clear of is maybe Napoli versus Real Madrid, because I think that's a very unpredictable one. Napoli only need to win 2-0 to get through. Ronaldo is still very pricey, still scoring goals, but Napoli's players, they tend to spread it around a little bit. I've maybe Milik at a low end, but I'm not sure there's a huge amount in that game that I'd like to go for. I think I'd target Arsenal, I'd target, especially like Barcelona, Dortmund are my two to definitely target. Maybe a little bit of Arsenal, maybe a little bit of Bayern as well, depending on how you're feeling. But yeah, anyway, that's it for the game analysis. And now I will go into the lineup itself. So as usual, $50,000 to spend on DraftKings this midweek on my Champions League lineup. And in goal, I've started off with a nice cheap one, David Ospina, 4,500 from Arsenal. You may be wondering why I've bothered to take him and why I haven't gone for Berkey at the top, but I needed to save the money for some of the bigger players I've got later on. And I think Ospina's got quite a good chance of picking up a good total here. He actually had 6 saves in that first leg against Bayern Munich and actually came out of it with 4 points, which when your team loses 5-1, you don't expect your keeper to get anything, even get a positive. So for him to get that, I mean, it just shows you exactly how well he played, and it could have been something like 10-0 if Ospina hadn't been there. But I mean, I think he's been okay in the Champions League all season. Bayern have a 4-goal cushion, so they're not going to be attacking a huge amount. And you could see Arsenal getting a clean sheet and a win. I don't think they'll go through, but Ospina, 2.7 saves per game in the competition this year. And I've got confidence in them getting a win for some reason. I mean, you've seen Arsenal do it before. They've gone down like 4 or 5-0 in the first leg and then gone out to Munich or gone out to wherever and actually played better in the second leg and actually won it. This time it's at home, but I think the same principle applies. I still think the pressure's off. Arsenal will do well, and I think get Ospina in there will save you a bit of money for you to spend elsewhere. So if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I'm a big fan of one Napoli defender in particular. That's Fauzi Ghoulam, who's $5,000 this week on DraftKings, quite cheap. The average is 11.4 fantasy points per game across the season as a whole. But it's just his cross numbers that are absolutely ludicrous. And when you know that crosses are 0.75 points, they're not as lucrative as they used to be on DraftKings, but I still think it's a great place to go when you've got people getting double digits every single time they play. Ghoulam, 9.1 crosses per game in the Champions League this season. If you look at just the home games, it's 12.4 crosses per game in the Champions League. That is absolute money at this stage. I think they're going to have to go for it. They need 2 goals. Ghoulam, 3 assists in 7 Champions League games this season. It's no surprise that some of Europe's big guns are sniffing around him. And I think pick him this week and you'll be very happy about it because he'll get you quite a few points. So in order to squeeze Ghoulam in, I've had to go for a cheaper defender. I've actually gone for Marc Bartra, 3,600, the Spaniard from Dortmund. I think Dortmund are your best look at a clean sheet on this slate this week because I don't think Benfica are going to be coming out of the blocks trying to attack at all. But Bartra's stats are actually reasonably good for a centre-back. He plays like on the left-hand side of a back 3, so you're going to get a bit of attacking in that sense, I think a little bit anyway. But it's 3 tackles per game. 2.3 interceptions per game is actually very good for a central defender. Plus, he's not afraid to chip in with a goal every so often. As I say, Dortmund clean sheet, that gives you an extra 3 fantasy points on DraftKings. 3,600, I think you want him to be getting around maybe 8 to look to be value. And I think if he gets or hits his values and gets a clean sheet, I think you're definitely going to be getting 8 points off Bartra. And it's going to save you that valuable money to spend further up the team. So my first midfielder, I've gone really big here. Neymar, 10,300. Not the most expensive player. Lionel Messi, of course, 11,400. But sadly, I couldn't afford Messi. He's the one I wanted. I had to go for Neymar. I don't think it's too much of a step down though when you look at how good Neymar is. He's one of the few Barcelona players who actually hit double figures for fantasy points in that battering at PSG. He got 12 fantasy points. He tends to take quite a few of the corners for Barcelona, and he's the assist man in this team. He has 10 goals, 15 assists this season in all competitions. He actually leads the Champions League in assists with, I think it's 7 assists, which is ahead of Dembele and Ronaldo, who both have 6. 7.1 crosses per game in the Champions League. In La Liga, it does drop off in the Champions League. But when you watch this guy on a regular basis, which you probably do if you play DraftKings Fantasy Football, because he's in Interleague, he's also in internationals. He'll have been in Copa America last year and La Liga. This guy is the real deal. I don't really have to say anything else apart from that. I think compared to, I think I trust him more than Ronaldo and more than Suarez this midweek. I don't trust him more than Messi. So if you have the money, I would recommend to get Messi instead of Neymar. If you can fit Messi in there with a load of other good players as well, good luck to you. But otherwise, take Neymar. He'll score you over 10 points, I think. So to balance out Neymar in midfield, I've actually gone for Theo Walcott. I'm not that confident about this pick, but I wanted to take an Arsenal midfielder / forward. He's only 6,100. I can't afford Alexis Sanchez, who's the one I really wanted to take. But Walcott's been very good this season. It's been one of his best seasons in a while. He's had a couple of injuries, but he's still managed to get 11 goals in the Champions League and Premier League combined, which, if you consider the amount of criticism he has had at times in his career, that is very, very good. I think for Walcott to do well this week, he's going to have to score a goal or get an assist. So if you're not confident in Arsenal winning, then don't take him, because I just don't think you're going to get points off him from anywhere else. But if you're like me and you're confident that Arsenal are going to win this game, then I think you take Walcott and you'll be really happy with it. So into the forwards, I've gone for a midfield / forward here, but Ousmane Dembele, who is $7,700 on DraftKings this week, 9 assists in the Bundesliga this season. You look across the leagues in Europe, there's not many players that have got over 9. I think there's only a few. So getting around that 8, 9, 10 figure is kind of where the best assist men in the whole of Europe are sitting. In the Champions League this season, he has 5 assists, which is the only player that's beaten that is Neymar. Ronaldo also has 5. 12 points versus Benfica in the first leg, didn't get a goal or an assist. I can't stress to you enough how important I think it is to take Dortmund players this week. If you can afford Aubameyang, definitely take him, because he's been in red hot form the last couple of games, 4 goals in 2 games. But if you can't do that, then Dembele is a great next choice. 5 assists in the Champions League this season is absolutely great. This Dortmund team know how to score goals. They scored 6 in their last game against Bayer Leverkusen, who know that they're not bad at all. They're one of the better teams in the Bundesliga. So you look at this team, Dembele, even Pulisic, if he starts, I think is a good shout. But my main man from Dortmund is Dembele on this match day. So I've gone big on the M/F players this week, because I've got Dries Mertens of Napoli, $7,500 on DraftKings. This is a little bit of a risky one for me, but I think I've got a feeling Napoli are going to win. They're very, very good at home in Europe. They've lost once in the last 20 European home games. That stadium down in Naples is an absolute fortress. And Mertens has been very, very good this season. 22 goals, 11 assists is his best season for Napoli by an absolute country mile. He's benefiting from Higuain leaving in the summer. He actually has 17.2 fantasy points per game on games scored by DraftKings, so that's international games for Belgium, but it's also Serie A. It's also the Champions League as well, where he's done very, very well. 3 hat-tricks since Christmas, which is great for a player who's not really a naturally recognised as a centre forward. So for him to be scoring goals by getting into these positions is absolutely excellent. Madrid have not got the best defence in Europe by any means, and I think if you're going to take one of Napoli's players, it has to be Mertens at this price, 7,500. I'd like to have a bit of Milik if he's playing, but again, he's come back from a long-term injury. You're going to get a lot more reliable performance from this guy, maybe even Marek Hamsik as well, who I think is undervalued at less than $6,000 on DraftKings this week. But the one for me is Mertens. He's more reliable. So the final guy I've got is he is a bit of a fantasy football favourite of mine, Rafael Guerreiro of Borussia Dortmund, 5,200. He's the best I could do with the money I had left, but that's no disservice to him whatsoever. 1 goal, 1 assist in the Champions League this season. The good thing about Guerreiro is he plays out wide or in the middle, but he always seems to get crosses wherever he's playing. So, I mean, I'd be a lot more favourable of him if he's playing as a left wing back. He is listed as a midfielder on DraftKings, but so he won't be getting that clean sheet bonus. But if he's playing as a left wing back, he gets even better in my eyes. He's actually had 1 goal, 1 assist over his last 2 games. If you looked at the stats on whoscored.com, he was actually man of the match against SC Freiburg in the game before the one against Leverkusen at the weekend just gone. In the Leverkusen game, you got over 8 out of 10 on that same website as well. So, I mean, you're getting quality here. Scores well for shots, tackles, interceptions, crosses. You're getting a lot of good cross-category performance there. So I think look at this guy for your lineups this midweek and you won't be disappointed. Plus, he's only $5,200. Other players at that level, if you can afford them, Thiago Alcantara of Bayern Munich absolutely tore Arsenal to pieces in the first leg. I think he'd be a really good pick at that price as well. Also, Dani Carvajal, if you're looking at a util spot, lovely assist in the first game. I don't think Napoli are going to keep a clean sheet against Real Madrid, and Carvajal may be where the assist comes from in the end. So that's my 8-man lineup there, guys. So it was David Ospina in goal, Fawzi Ghulam in defence alongside Marc Bartra, Neymar and Walcott in midfield, and then Dembele and Dries Mertens up front with Rafael Guerreiro in the utility spot. So guys, that was my video there. If you liked all of what you've seen in this video, please give it a thumbs up below. If you want to see more content throughout the week, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Leave me any comments that you want to below. I'll try and do a live video on Periscope before the games tomorrow night, but otherwise I will see you later on this week when there will be a Premier League picks video ahead of the weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.